Good morning, and welcome to Lake Country Unitarian Universalist Church. My name is Kristen. I am one of the board members, which is why I'll be around after, but I'm also functioning today as our worship associate and a member of the Welcoming Congregation Renewal Task Force, I guess. My pronouns are she and her, which I share in the spirit of being welcoming to all. The Welcoming Congregation Renewal Work Group is presenting our service today. We are celebrating LCUUC's ongoing commitment to being a welcoming congregation recognized by the Unitarian Universalist Association. We welcome you.
Our pride flag outside shows the wider community that we welcome and embrace members of the LGBTQ+ family. As the Welcoming Congregations Renewal Committee started to think about other ways to express this, our youngest member, Iris, suggested we create a visual symbol for inside our building to send more specific messages of love and acceptance to those who come through our doors. And a mural was born. Linda Kishline, Iris, and I painted these canvases together in a very spontaneous and intuitive process. We had so much fun working together. The first one, I don't know if you want to point to it, was the one that's over on the far side. And that was, we didn't have a lot of planning. We just said, let's go with rainbow. And then the second one was on this side, and we talked about, okay, rainbow, but we're all really different. So that one became vertical and just a little more going on. And then the third one we painted is in the middle, and that's our message center, and abstractly shows the different flags within this movement. We'd like to add more messages from you and have provided paper and markers in the social hall if you'd like to stop and jot them down. We will find a way to incorporate them. This mural will eventually be hung in the social hall.
I would just like to say that I was really proud of this mural and that I wanted everyone in the community to feel like they belonged, because sometimes I feel like I don't belong, and this just proves that we can all come together and make something beautiful.
Good morning. My name is Kathy Wendorf-Peterson, and my pronouns are she and her. I've been chairing the Welcoming Congregation Renewal Work Group for the past several months. Maybe you're wondering, what is this all about? In the 1980s and 90s, the Unitarian Universalist Association launched a Welcoming Congregation program to help all of us learn how to undo homophobia in our hearts and minds, our congregations, and our communities. After meeting the UUA's criteria, the Lake Country Unitarian received its Welcoming Congregation designation way back in 2009. At the time, the main issue was marriage equality, and to be honest, the only letters most of us were cued into were LGB, folks in our midst. Now the umbrella has expanded to add T, transgender, Q, queer questioning, and plus, which includes non-binary, asexual, intersex, polyamorous, and two-spirit individuals, and others. To help us do this, the UUA has developed a process of renewal through such things as developing welcoming worship services like today, recognizing LGBTQ+ days of observance, providing welcoming education, and supporting a welcoming project organization with donations and resources. And next week, on our second Sunday of the month, we will actually be collecting for the Safe House, which used to be housed here and is now housed at the Heartland UCC. I have to get my acronyms correct. So that's a LGBT program for teens in our community. For the members of our work group, this renewal effort is about more than checking off boxes. We want to truly be a welcoming congregation, a place and community where LGBTQ plus individuals feel welcome, supported, and safe. We hope today's service will be meaningful to you and will inspire you to be part of this work in progress. Thank you.
So as I was mentioning before, I participated in one of the book discussions on the book Authentic Selves, Celebrating Trans and Non-Binary People and Their Families. As we entered into these discussions in the reading, we were asked to come in with questions and curiosity. During the reading of one of the stories, for me, I came across a new term to me, which was the term gender euphoria. It seemed to kind of jump off the page with joy. I had been familiar with the concept of gender dysphoria, so I was really happy to hear about a more positive opposite. In case there are others like me expanding their vocabulary, here are a few dictionary definitions. Gender dysphoria can be defined as a state of severe distress or unhappiness caused by feeling that one's gender identity does not match one's sex as registered at birth. Gender euphoria is a positive and affirming experience that occurs when a person's gender identity aligns with their gender expression and social perception. It can manifest in such ways as feeling comfortable and authentic in one's own body, experiencing joy and contentment with one's gender, having a sense of relief and liberation, feeling accepted and affirmed by others, and being able to express oneself authentically without fear of judgment. Recently, I had a follow-up conversation about the term gender euphoria with our eldest child, Mads. Mads identifies as gender fluid or non-binary, which for them means that their gender does not fit solely into either male or female categories, and that their gender expression can vary day to day. We had a really interesting conversation, and I thought others may find it helpful as well. So I asked Mads if they would be willing to share their experience with all of you today, and they enthusiastically agreed. So I'm going to show a video clip of a follow-up conversation we had about our original conversation about gender euphoria.
Hi, Mads.
Hello, hello.
Good to see you. I just want to say thank you so much for agreeing to participate in our service. I just feel like it's a real gift that you're willing to share a bit about your experience, because not everybody is as blessed as our family to have someone who's trans or non-binary to learn from. So we're all trying to learn more in our congregation, so we appreciate you.
Thank you.
And as you know, the other day we had an interesting conversation about the term gender euphoria. And I learned a lot from your experience, and you challenged me to think deeper about myself too, and I thought others could benefit from that. So, but why don't we start with some introductions before we get into it?
Yes. So my name is Matt Sandin. I've been a part of LCUC since I was 4 years old. I use they, them pronouns. I currently live on the East Coast, and this is my mom.
And I'm Kristen Sandin, been part of LCUC for, I think, 23 years. And I'm the mom of 3 fabulous children, including Matt's. I identify as cisgender, which that term means that my gender identity is the same as my female sex assigned at birth. The other day we were chatting about this book I was reading and this term I came across, gender euphoria, which just like really got my attention because I only really had heard gender dysphoria. So hearing about something joyful and positive just got my curiosity and made me feel happy. So you and I talked, and I asked you about that term, and of course you knew all about it. And you shared a little bit about some experiences where you had experienced that. So I was wondering if you could share maybe one or more experiences.
Absolutely. Yeah. I think that there are countless experiences that I could share, and that in of itself is a blessing. but I think that right now the most pivotal one is the experience I had that first hit as this is gender euphoria, and I recognize it as such. I was probably in middle school, maybe going into high school, um, just introduced to the internet and social media and everything, and thankfully introduced to, therefore, the expanse of gender expression and self expression and all of the above. I found a person with a haircut that stood out to me, and it felt very me. And I took it to the hairdresser. She did her thing. I came home with this fully styled, fresh trimmed haircut, and for the next day and a half, I felt ecstatic. It had nothing to do with the length of the hair or, the color or anything else. It was, this is what I want to look like. This feels right to me. And I saw it because I was exposed to the rest of the world. But that really prompted this feeling, this alignment with how I see myself and how I want to be perceived. It was a joyous feeling. It truly was a joyous feeling. It brought up the conversation of being trans non-binary and trans-binary, something that I had never been exposed to before. And it all started with a haircut that felt like just right.
It sounds like you felt like yourself.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And that euphoria is something that like a lot of people, any person can experience really.
So you mentioned that in our conversation the other day.
Yeah. Because
do you remember how you asked me? Because that really like kind of blew open my mind.
I don't remember the exact words, but I remember I was like, well, have you ever experienced something similar? Have you experienced gender euphoria?
Yeah. And I was like confused a little bit because I was like, well, I'm cis. Like, why would, and you was like, no, anyone can feel that way. And then you asked me if I had any experiences. And at that point, I couldn't think of anything, So I've been kind of mulling it over for the last few weeks since we talked. And honestly, as the days go on, like different ideas pop in my head too. So I don't feel like my answers are done.
Yeah.
So it was really kind of a fun exercise. And just the one I'll share today that came to mind was just the whole, you're my firstborn, and the experience of being pregnant and breastfeeding was just super powerful from a really feminine standpoint. Up until that point, I don't think I really like leaned into a lot of my femininity or like maternal kinds of things. And so I was really kind of shocked how much I loved it and how powerful I felt, like growing a person, nurturing a person. And I specifically remember one night where I was, up in the middle of the night and it was dark and it was just you and I was nursing you. And I had this like spiritual experience really where I felt like this thread that was going all the way back to every woman who had ever nursed a baby from the beginning of time to all women after me that would ever nurse a baby for the end of time, and felt like totally like one with all that. And just feeling so grateful that I had this this female power and this female body to be able to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think that was a moment of gender euphoria for me.
Absolutely. Yeah. I fully agree it is. And I think that that's the core, is it does not matter exactly what it is. It could be a color, a haircut, a piece of clothing, an experience, a word that you say, whatever else. What is it that makes you feel grounded in yourself? Like what the alignment between how you are perceived, how you present, and how you feel. What does that alignment look like? That's the question, really. And there's no wrong answer. That's the beauty of it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I love living my life every day, finding a new answer to that question. And I think that's something that I could pose to literally anybody. What makes you feel most like yourself? That's it. That's gender euphoria. You got it.
Sounds like a good way to end, and a little food for thought for everybody listening.
Yeah.
Thank you.
It's me again. My name is Kim Soor, and my pronoun is she, and I also am a member of the Renewal Committee. Before I talk about the book, I have to say what a wonderful experience it has been to work with Kathy and the other members of the committee, and say how proud I am of our congregation's commitment to this important work. We really are fortunate. It is a happy coincidence that LCUUC started our welcoming congregational renewal work on the heels of the UUA choosing the book Authentic Selves as the Common Read for 2024. This beautiful book features the lived experience stories of 35 individuals and their families' journey towards living into their authentic selves. The committee hosted 2 book discussions for members and friends who read the book, and in a moment we're going to hear from a few of our participants. But first, I'd like to share just a few general thoughts. In the 1990s, Rudine Sims Bishop, known as the mother of multicultural children's literature, observed that books provide mirrors and windows and sliding glass doors into the lives of others, fiction characters and real people alike. As mirrors, the stories in this book reflect the experiences of those who have historically been pushed to the margins. People who are transgender, whose gender assigned at birth does not match their authentic self, and the gender they feel themselves to be inside. And those who are non-binary, who do not identify exclusively with either side of the traditional male-female divide, as we've seen already. Though I am neither trans nor non-binary, I can only imagine how validating it must feel to look into these mirrors in this book and read the stories of those who have stepped into themselves, and how empowering it must feel to read of challenges taken and obstacles overcome. For some, like me, the family member of a beloved trans person, the mirror of this book reflects back to us the importance of our love and support. The mirror shows us all we are not alone. In addition to being mirrors, books also provide windows for people who are different from those on their pages. They give a glimpse into someone else's world. Maybe you don't knowingly have someone in your life who is trans or non-binary, but you would like to understand their experience. Maybe intuitively you believe in the importance of inclusion, but don't know quite how to refute some of the anti-trans rhetoric parroted by the people in your life. By peeking in these windows, you become better able to see the reality, the humanity of the people inside. And as a sliding glass door, books can invite you to step into their lives through empathy and identification, and vice versa. You can find ways to invite people on the margins into an expanded worldview to live into themselves. For me, one of the ways I felt a slight stepping across of the threshold of understanding was through the metaphors that individuals in the book used to try to convey what it's like to be them, trans or non-binary, in a world that told them they needed to conform to the gender assigned based upon their body parts. One individual described his experience as constantly having a pebble in his shoe. Another described it as a profound homesickness. A middle school student said, "I'm like a puzzle piece that I'm holding and trying to find where it goes. I've been bullied because other kids can't always tell if I'm a girl or a boy. I sometimes feel like I can't fit anywhere." Someone else compared it to handedness. Just as someone who is right or left-handed can't explain why they favor that hand, she says, it just feels natural. One more anecdote that helped me understand a bit better what it is like to be transgender comes from Ted Rao, a trans man sharing how he discovered he was transgender. He was doing an internet search when he stumbled across the button test, which goes like this. One day you are given a button to press. With that button comes a set of rules and instructions. You can press this button only one single time. If you press it, you will become physically female. All of your family and friends will have always remembered you this way, and you will have no social impacts on your life for making this decision. Once you press the button, it will disappear forever. Do you press the button? Ted says, I thought to myself, wouldn't every woman press that button? Then I asked myself, wait, are there women who actually want to be women? I know that sounds hard to believe, but I had no idea. I assumed that hating being a woman was what every woman felt, unquote. I'm so grateful to have been given the opportunity to look into the mirror and the window and step through the sliding glass doors of this book. And now I welcome Fran Bills to share a bit of one person's story and her reflections on it.
I'm Fran Bills, and my pronouns are she, her. So, for me, reading and discussing Authentic Selves, a collection of interviews with trans and non-binary people and their families, has helped me begin to understand trans and non-binary people, their experiences growing up and living in a society that deeply denies and denigrates their existence. I want to share with you an uplifting, personal experience before reading from the book. My 9-year-old granddaughter, Grace, goes to a public school in southwest Minneapolis, a rather liberal area of the city called Field. One of her best friends is Charlie. When I asked Grace if Charlie was a girl or a boy, Grace replied that some days Charlie was a girl and other days a boy. This seemed perfectly natural to Grace. We did not discuss it at all. My daughter later told me the school is very supportive of Charlie as he grapples with their gender identity. There is hope. I want to share a bit about Tamira Burns, a longtime well-known advocate in the LGBTQ+ community. Tamira is a lesbian. She and her wife had a little girl together. At age 12, their daughter came out as queer, and 2 years later revealed she identified as male. When her son Ryan came out to Tamira, she was supportive, but shocked. Despite her professional work advocating for the LGBTQ+ community, she was caught off guard and needed time to adjust. Tamira and her wife divorced when her wife revealed they were male and wanted to transition. They've remained close friends, and her wife remarried. And Tamira is also happily remarried to Joseph Wolfe Burwell, who at age 55 transitioned to male. I would like to now read to you Tamira's advice to the rest of us. My hope is that trans and non-binary youth will have access to support wherever they live. Studies show that just one adult ally can reduce the suicidality rates of trans or non-binary youth to the levels normal for the general age group. More than anything, I hope that young trans and non-binary youth can find affirming friends to help get them through their rocky times. More and more parents are coming around. More and more churches and schools are creating open and affirming places to worship and study. For every place of fear or hate, there is an equal place of love and help. May love and acceptance flourish.
My name is Rob, and my pronoun is he. I have chosen to reflect on Lana Patel. I'm sorry. I have chosen to reflect on Lana Patel. Lana states, I identify as an Afro-Indo-Caribbean trans woman born in New York City. I was born male on the outside, but I was always female on the inside. It just took time. What interests me in Lana's life story was the resilience she mustered to be her authentic self. Besides facing trans societal analysis, she faced other societal pressures and cultural norms that impeded her transition. Lana grew up in a family that believed in only men and women, and anything that blurred these roles was wrong. As the family watched a black gay couple on the Jenny Jones show, Lana's father stated, "These are the guys I am trying to protect you and your brother from," end quote. This was shocking to Lana and made her tiptoe around her parents and hide her true self. When she did come out to her family, it was not accepted well. They buzzed her hair and forced her to be male for a year until they finally realized she was resistant to living as a boy. It made me question, where did this hostility come from? Is it ignorance, or is it ingrained in the family culture? Is it a self-inflicted embarrassment of what others might think? It also made me realize the things we say can have lasting impact on others or on our own reputations. Besides an intolerant family, her Jamaican heritage also held homophobic beliefs. Lana loved Jamaican dance hall music and its infectious vibe to move. As she listened more closely to the words, they were disturbing and terrifying as they promoted harming of gay people. This cultural bias towards people who are different was surely a source of her family's intolerance. When Lana finally transitioned, her family was intolerant of counseling or support groups. Though counseling would have helped the family, to admit that you need help is the first step in overcoming the taboo of therapy. Another hurdle Lana faced was her Christian religion. Lana's extended family was not accepting of her, so Lana's parents decided it was best that she live with her grandparents. Here, Lana attended a Southern Christian Baptist church and school where she heard anti-gay messaging, was constantly teased, and was disregarded by her peers. Eventually, she was asked to leave the school so other parents would not withdraw their children from the school. Lana said, quote, "It was the most terrible feeling sitting in a place of God with people who preach Christianity but were not anything like Christ," end quote. I feel fortunate to be a part of the UU tradition where we encourage people to seek their own path. We promote self-worth and are welcoming to all. Fortunately, Lana had a few champions in her transition. The 8th grade teacher who read Lana's coming out essay, supported her, and sought assistance from a counselor to come out to her parents. Her cisgender high school friends who protected her and saw Lana for who she was. Once Lana had her surgical transition, doors and friendships opened to her. Quote, "Being perceived as a woman has been a huge privilege given to me. It has allowed me to no longer second guess myself and to live at ease," end quote. It has been 20 years since Lana came out to her family, and I was glad to read her family had progressed greatly in their acceptance of Lana. As she says, "We all get along and there is love there." Lana is a model of resilience. In spite of all the hurdles she faced and still faces, she was able to become her true self. I believe it is up to us to call out transphobia and defend, protect, and support the trans community.
I'm going to read a selection from the Authentic Selves books, and I think you'll recognize why I chose this reading specifically, or this section from Mark Mac Thomas. I was attending church while I was in the process of coming out to myself. This church was very small, and we considered it one big family as my dad was the pastor there. There was a lot of support, but not for me once I started being perceived as different. One day I wore a suit with a blazer to church. I was so excited to wear it, and I'd never felt more comfortable. But when I got there, I felt something shift in the way the people were looking at me. I didn't realize what it was until a couple of weeks later at my youth group's Bible study, when someone was talking about how gay people are all going to hell because they're living in active sin. I left that Bible study group in the middle, and I was crying on my mom's shoulders for a while before she took me home. After I came out, my dad decided to leave the church and become a missionary to serve the LGBTQ+ community. This work became my dad's purpose in life. Despite everything, it was hard for me to leave my church because I grew up with it as my church family. However, I'm so glad that I did leave because I was shunned there. Although I didn't fully realize that this was happening, it became obvious when I went back for a vacation Bible school theater production. When I walked into the church that I had come to call my second home over many years, nobody in the congregation even looked at me or smiled at me. Nobody talked to me. I turned around and looked at someone who I considered to be my good friend, and she made no eye contact with me and looked down at the floor. I knew at that point that I didn't want to worship the God that they worshiped. Whatever God they claimed to serve didn't like me and didn't want me there. I felt sad for them because they miss out on loving so many great people. So, this church, this service, we all claim as Unitarian Universalists to practice welcome and inclusion. But that seriously requires a lot of intention and openness to learning and practice and grace. I don't care who you are, myself included. Each of us has natural human biases to judge everybody that comes into our purview. Is this person like me? Is this person different than me? And each of us, no matter how much work we have done, still has those biases that guides how we treat different people that walk in. Suppose someone comes into the sanctuary with a cane because they can't see, and they want to be on a board. Are you going to think about, are they going to be able to serve? Are they going to have the faculties to be able to do this? Not because they don't have the right faculties, but just because we naturally tend to judge. Any difference that somebody has, even if you are different, even if you consider yourself different, you will have these biases. And the only way to overcome those biases is to do the work that the Welcoming Congregation group has tried to lead us in, which is education and understanding and experience and trying to get proximate with differences so that we can begin to understand that what unites us, we have a lot more in common than we do have differences. So I'm truly grateful to the Welcoming community, for the Welcoming team for having done this work. It is not just LGBTQ rights, although that is the focus this month, and it should be the focus for here all the time, but it's all differences. Every difference that you perceive in somebody else, whether it be color or ability or gender or political spectrum, anything, all of those differences cause you to run through your filter and have a reaction. I want you to look around the room, pick out one person, pick out any one person, just look around and pick one person in your mind, okay? Now I want you to imagine going up to that person and asking them to leave the room because they're not welcome here. That is what we do unconsciously when someone comes into this space with a difference that we perceive. And whether we know it or not, if we don't educate ourselves and take the commitment to learn, to be open to differences, we risk doing that welcoming, you're not welcome here, all the time. That is the purpose of this work. And thank you, Kathy and Welcoming Committee, for leading us in that work. Thank you. Our closing words today are entitled, "We Have a Calling in This World," by Jean M. Rickard. We have a calling in this world. We are called to honor diversity, to respect differences with dignity, and to challenge those who would forbid it. We are a people of a wide path. Let us be wide in our affection and go our way in peace.